Hello everyone, and welcome back to another WARNO Deck Deep Dive. And today we're gonna go into the 4th Armored. Maybe the weakest division when Norfolk launched, but with the latest buffs, I would argue it is a pretty decent division now. And before we go in there though, quick shout out to WARNO League Season 3 and the WARNO League Super Tournament. If you want to get yourself into some tournament actions, these two are going up to be up your alley. The WARNO League Super Tournament, a 1-week tournament on the 23rd, 22nd and 23rd of February. So if you're interested in that, join that. And then starting in March, we're gonna have WARNO League Season 3 with split between beginners up to elite players, and you will have something for every skill level. So no matter how good you are right now in WARNO 1v1, you will have a lot of fun there and good competition. So see you all there, guys. But let's get into the action. Sign up can be found down below, and the deck for this here as well. Let me know also down below what you think about this deck, and let's jump right in here into the 4th Armored, as I found myself having decent success and also decent fun with this. Like, I had fun with it before, but I didn't have any success. But with the latest buff and with a couple of changes to my deck, I really found good things with this deck. One issue with this deck is this unit. It is still way overpriced. It's a 600 supply unit for 40 points. Normally they should be around 30 to 35 points, more 30. So this is quite overpriced, especially as it's not wheeled but tracked. But it's hard to get any of the other two here really actively close to the front line. So having a 600 supply that can be split up a bit better is still fine, and you can sell them later on. As otherwise you only have 7 supply units, and that can be a bit iffy if they shoot 1 or 2 of them. Then you have problems. 5 CVs here. Another 2 CVs in the tank tab. So 7 CVs total, because in the infantry tab you can't afford them. These CVs here, 1 fast one, 1 slow one. That is a bit cheaper. It's a fine setup here. Sultan also decently survivable with 10 hit points and 2 armor. Infantry tab got buffed and is in a decent spot now. You don't have the greatest availability, but the rifles and mod rifles both are good units. Mod rifles, 9-man squad, 2 MGs for 50 points, with a good AT weapon, and the rifles with a great AT weapon, 1 less hit point. Mod rifles also coming in Saxons, quite nice. So the 9-man squad here is a really nice one. Then you have Assault Pioneers, which are good CQC units as well. With the light machine gun, they can run to the enemy and still shoot, as it can fire on the move, it can fire on shortest range, so that is quite nice as well. The satchel charges here are pretty good too. Gun groups, they are basically coming in your makeshift IFV, the FV432 Milan. You want these around so that you have a couple more cheap Milans flying around that can kill off enemy light vehicles from the side. It has bad stealth and all, but it does have smoke, so it can disengage when enemy ATGMs fly on it or when enemies try to get too close. So that is all good. And the gun group itself is an okay defensive unit. It's not great, but with a law and 2 machine guns, it can hold positions nicely. You don't want to push with these guys. But on the defense, they are quite nice. Then we have the Milan 2 with the Spartan for 2 Milan 2s here. The Spartan having a Milan 2, unlike the normal FV432, which only has a normal Milan. So you take the Spartan here for the Milan 2. Has better off-road speed as well, so that is quite helpful. Spartan, pretty good unit. And only the stealth issue for this unit. Outside of that, the Milan 2 that comes with it, really nice as well. So this is a good combo. And then another buffed unit is the Wombat. Wombat got cheaper. FV432 Wombat got cheaper as well. Before, this recoilless rifle was way overpriced. I couldn't make it work. But now, 1400 meter range is quite decent. It is good fire support for your infantry. And you get 2 Wombats for 60 points, one of them being mobile. Has smoke as well. So this Wombat I really like. And it's the best double recoilless rifle combo in the game in my eyes. It's still not amazing, but getting 2 recoilless rifles here in this card makes it quite nice, gives you capabilities that you can't really get with the other cards here, so that's why I take it over another rifle card, for example. As usually this infantry gets you through the game decent enough. Artillery, we have 2 big guns. That is really important. Having 2 big guns means that you can deal with enemy ATGM positions quite nicely. You can kill off enemy AA if you find them stationary. You can even damage tanks quite nicely. So 175mm is not quite the biggest caliber, but it is a big caliber, and that is important. It does good HE damage. And then the mortars here, just if you need a smoke screen, if you need to get closer. Not all your tanks have max range and so on, as you will see in a second. So getting a bit closer here is quite nice. Can help with infantry pushes and so on as well, to get them through a position where the enemy has a lot of autocannons without getting shot and so on. So yeah, the mortars here, pretty essential as well. Tank tab, we have all the chieftains you need in all the different forms. Outside of the Mark 9, we don't have all the chieftains you need, you can get, but we have all the chieftains you need, as they now got a second card of these. And this is so important. Before I used the Centurions are just bad. They can't deal with anything. But you only had one card of these Chieftain Mark 6s. These Chieftain Mark 6s are nice. They can survive a good amount of stuff. They can survive even in CQC against, like for example, if you play against West Germany, you can't just push them into enemy infantry because all their Panzerfaust 44s just won't kill this thing, and then for 100 point, this is really nice. The gun itself has decent damage, can one-shot a good amount of things there, especially if it gets a bit closer. Accuracy is good as well. Rate of fire, obviously an issue, as always with the chieftains. That's why we upvet them as well a bit. And range is obviously not great, but it is still a decent gun. And then if you have things that are a bit harder to kill, and you need a bit more frontal armor capabilities, the Chieftain Mark 11 is not the most efficient tank outside ever, but it is pretty solid. It has max range, that is pretty important, and it has 18 penetration, which is solid. That is quite high level penetration, and you get a good amount of those as well. And then for the combination with the Chieftain Mark 6, for the closer pushes, you usually want to bring a Centurion with the HE rounds, the blow-up Centurion here, that can just demolish infantry and especially ATGM positions in one shot. Deals 3 HE, doesn't get stopped by buildings, so it stuns things down. It can even help in tank fights by just stunning down enemy tanks, as it can fire on all vehicles as well. And these things got decently buffed as well. Aim time now down to 4 seconds with veterancy. It's at 3.8. You want to upvet this, because otherwise it's just, when it gets slightly stressed, and it gets also stressed faster on 0 vet, it just doesn't gonna fire a second shot ever. With veterancy, it still does somewhat decent there. The rate of fire obviously is a big problem here, but this thing still is great as fire support. And then we have the strikers, because you don't have any normal IFVs and you need some ATGMs. And so here we go for the striker. I like the striker a bit more than the swingfire. Swingfire has more missiles, but striker is a good bit faster on off-road, so I like that one more for that. And 10 missiles is usually still enough for doing things. So yeah, that's the tank tab. As I said, the Centurion not that great, and I'm not a big fan of the Chieftain Mark 9. It's in a bit of a weird medium price range there, and also range. Like, it gets bullied by the long range tanks. It is not cost efficient enough to push it really close. And with its speed, it also can be kited. That's the issue with all chieftains. So you usually want to force the issue at a point where the enemy can't just run and kite you. Like, pushing with these in open fields is not a great idea. You want to push on somewhat narrower points, and there you can do quite nice with this. And then we have the aggressive part of this deck, the Recon tab. And here we have motorized scouts, which are a really solid recon unit. Good AT, 8 men, 2 MGs, can deal with a lot of enemy infantry. And then we have the fast boys here with the foxes and the ferrets. Ferret here, because it has very good optics, better optics than the fox, so it is nice for the tank plop, and very good optics just got buffed. And also, ferret can be put in front of a fox if you want to push early with foxes, which you kind of want to do with this deck, because cost efficiency is your thing, and you just want to be getting positions and fill them with units non-stop. And that is where the ferret comes in as an ATGM revealer in front of the fox. Just let it run in front of your foxes. It all has smoke as well, so it can save if you micro nicely as well. But if the enemy has, for example, infantry with AT and you don't see them with the foxes, the ferret will get shot first, the foxes will see it, the foxes will light it up with automatic cannons. So, and if you trade one infantry for a ferret, or like kill one infantry for the ferret, you most likely do a efficient trade cost-wise, because ferret is cheap. A lot of recon infantry, especially, which you most likely gonna see in the early game, is quite expensive. So trading a ferret for an infantry is great. That's why we use the ferret here, just pure cost efficiency. The Chancellor is something that I'm not 100% convinced on yet, but I want to test it more. And I had decent success with it. Exceptional Optics just got buffed, so I think Exceptional Optics helicopters got a good bit better again. But if you want to have something with Exceptional Optics that is not as easy to kill, you can go for the Spartan as well. Or if you want to have a bit more infantry, that is totally reasonable as well. I had decent success with it, and I'm gonna test this out more, but this is the unit where I'm the least convinced about that this is the right choice right now. AA, we have fantastic Darkfires. These things just slap, especially if you give them one accuracy, and it's only one availability for one level of veterancy. Gets you better aim time, gets you better reload time, gets you better accuracy, and 75% accuracy on a radar AA unit just means that if the enemy gets even a bit closer, you're just up to 100 and you just slap them. Helicopter range is fantastic as well, so you can even use this as a somewhat decent frontline support unit that can slap helicopters if they try to attack you, if you want to push this with your frontline. And Tractor up here, good anti-helicopter. If it doesn't hit with the first shot and the enemy has fast ATGMs on the helicopter, you can smoke. It has decent anti-aircraft range as well. So this pushing with your units is nice as well. Accuracy with veterancy is decent. And then you have javelins, which aren't great, but they're at least decently cheap. So that goes around as well. Though, when you have seen my last AA tier list video, you know I'm not a big fan of this. And I would rather take blowpipes, but we don't get blowpipes here. Helicopters. Lynx Alarm is fantastic. Yeah, you usually only need 4. This is not a super defensive deck, and these are mostly defensive units. So, and you use them when the enemy doesn't have any AA around with a tank formation, or you were able to snipe the AA, or the AA has too short range, then you bring one of these around and just stop the tank push, make them consider how to deal with it. So that's what the Hell Arms are for, and usually that situation happens only like 4 times in the game at maximum. You don't want to spam these. So that's why I didn't fill the second slot, even though it's just a 1-cost slot, but I felt like those points were used better elsewhere. And then we have the air tab, where we have a Phantom, which is a fantastic anti-aircraft plane. 8 missiles, good missiles, and 175 points only, whilst having decent speed and okay ECM. And then we have the Phantoms with bombs and sky flashes. You have to be careful. If you already have chosen a ground target, they won't fire the sky flashes. So to use the sky flashes, you will have to fly them in a bit more, with a bit more micro. Same goes for the cluster one. Both are good. The cluster one is even better. Same price, and it has HE and cluster, so you can even just bomb ground units. It has enough bombs here for killing ground unit as well. And then you have the Jaguar rocket, which I don't use as a rocket plane really much. It's a helicopter hunter. It has 2 solid sidewinders and a double 30mm gun. And your Phantom doesn't have a gun, so you can't shoot helicopters with it. That's where the Jaguar GR1 comes in. So that's what the Jaguar GR1 does the job it does. And yeah, the Phantom and Co here just chilling out. So this is the 4th. Strengths. It for sure is cost efficient in the push, especially now with the price reduction on the mod rifles, and it has a good recon tab. It has a really nice AA tab in my eyes as well. So those are the things I would put on as pros. Cons, it doesn't have a super heavy tank, which for a tank division is a problem. It doesn't have a good IFVs, which is a problem as well, and it doesn't have forward deploy. So it has 3 weaknesses in the areas that all are liked by players and all are important in the meta. And that's why this division isn't a top tier division, and that's why it was struggling so hard when it came out. But if you play it around its cost efficiency, this deck actually has a good amount to offer. And as I said, I really enjoy it lately. I don't think it's for everyone, but if you played it at launch and you want to give it another try now, I think there is a way to make this work right now. And yeah, let me know down below what your experience of this deck is. And see you in the next one. Bye bye, and have a great day.